So let us, before getting into the strategy of recruitment during the COVID, let us understand the impact of COVID in the industry. So number one is majority of them. I was actually talking to the consulting company. I was talking to a few of the corporates, any industry, major industries, not only in India, outside India also. I have good number of friends working in recruitment industry. So they are actually telling me that the opening have drastically come down. Either two aspects of it. Number one is, let's say that if it's a product company, the product has been used by different various customers. So now for time being, the customers have told, okay, let's slow down the product. I guess the internet is unstable, is it? Hope I'm audible. Okay. So customers have told, okay, let's tone down the process of enhancement of a product is number one main reason. Be it a services company, major customers across, even in India, even US, UK, or any UAE country you take, because of this COVID, now positions have gone slow down, which means the companies, especially which dealing with the time and material or fixed bid project, are running on short of open positions. Yeah. So if you see the major challenge of recruiters, let's say there are companies which hire people. I will probably show you the industries which are hiring people in the coming slides. The company which are hiring people, if you see, the inflow of the resume have been reduced drastically. And moreover, not only that, if you see 60 to 65%, there is a drop in the interview. There's a delay in the interview. Few of the customer have told, I don't want to interview. Even in fact, even in my own company, the company which I'm working with, the previous company, we have freezed the position. We have freezed the unwanted requirements. We have freezed the position which is not priority. So if you see 60 to 65%, there is a drop in the interview or there is a delay in the interview process. The major issue is not that. The major issue is there are lots of people who've been selected and we could not able to offer those resources. If it is not for services industry, if it is not a billable position, we're not able to offer. Product industry, if the customer does not want an enhancement or an implementation or a new product, customization, those areas are not going good. So because of that, there is a slowdown process of offer making. See, another side of it, if you look at, there are people who've been offered. So two things happening to them. Number one is their company are not even releasing them. They're saying, okay, no, because of this COVID, let's defer the release. You have to revoke your notice and you have to rejoin. We will see about your relieving once the COVID is stable. That's number one feedback which you're receiving. That if you ask me the percentage, I would say 20% of the industries are now doing it. Even in fact, few of the offers have even told us that, okay, they're not in a situation to decide. And not only because of the company, even the people, the candidates, I would say the prospects are also in dilemma to join. I'll tell you an example. Let's say that somebody is in Malaysia, okay, who wanted to join in Singapore or who wanted to join in India. How do you join? Because he does not know. Malaysia and Singapore is on lockout now. It is getting open only on 29th. So until 29th, he don't know what is going to happen. It might extend also. So let us assume that he's resigning in this current company and the company relieves him immediately. Then he'll have to shift his house immediately if it is a company provided accommodation. So candidates are also in dilemma to take an offer. If you see the other side of it, there are companies who are releasing immediately because the company which is releasing the candidate immediately are those companies really struggling because of this COVID situation. There's lots of layoff, not only in US or not only in UK or not only in Italy. There are companies in India which is also started releasing the people slowly. I don't want to name the company, but there are companies which, if I've actually spoken, they are releasing people shortly. So offer revokes, we discussed. Delay in joining with respect to the candidate are delaying joining because they don't know their date of release. Company have asked them not to get relieved, number one. Number two, if they get relieved, they don't know whether the company which they hold an offer would take them or not. So, and if you see the other side, let's say that I'm offering somebody, I'm just saying an example, let's say that you are offering as an HR a candidate, you don't know whether you can onboard him or not because the project might be in a problem. If you're pretty strong that, okay, you have a billable project, you're pretty strong that this is for a product R&D department, those departments are hiring, there is no problem. But rest of the thing, which is the statistics says that 55% of the joiners delayed their joining. Yeah, and major impact is forced automation. Now, because of this COVID, majority of the companies going for digitalization, which means recruitment automation. And even this recruitment automation tools are now getting in a cheaper price comparatively before COVID. So you can actually work out, and we can talk about this in the later slide. Major another impact is change in workplace practice. What do I mean by that is, until now, say I have close to 17 plus years now. In this 17 years, I've not even seen, working from home for more than 1 month. Yeah. So even I was actually talking to a few of the seniors in the market who are more than 30, 40 years as an HR. Even in their period, there was no 30 days or 40 days or 45 days work from home from work from home. So I'm very sure after this COVID situation is over, none of the employees is going to ask for work from home. I'm very sure about it. With this, I'm moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So I'm not going to discuss about all the challenges of the recruitment. Let us see 3 or 4 items with the benefit of time. So first is hiring budget cut is there. Firing instead of hiring is there. Some of the companies need high volume hiring. Some of the company needs, less hiring than the automation. We'll see that. First is the freeze of hiring and the firing started. So I was actually talking while I was showing the first slide. So this is the 5 major industries as per Talent Lift survey. Number 1 is the travel industry, which has got a huge hit. You know that even in India, it has got a huge hit. There is no flight, there is no, even bus or the train. So the travel industry is number 1. Tourism industry is also equally ranked as travel. Number 2, the hotel, bars, and the restaurants. Number 3 is the entertainment. You know that there is no malls, there is no movie, nothing. Yeah. So number 4 is the trade shows or conference shows where you do this. Your company, even and all these things is also stopped, or even you can say it is a mall, super mall. Then the manufacturing industry. These are the 5 industries which has got a major hit because of this COVID current situation. So because of this hit, what happened? 42% of the organization has either reduced hiring or they've frozen hiring. They've decided not to hire people for next 6 months. And the study says that in another 6 months, the situation would be similar. Okay. So how do we change as a recruiter or a company which look for always an opportunity? How do we change this into opportunity? So point number 1, you have to build relationship. How do you build relationship? Is, do lots of branding. I will talk about branding more in the coming slide. So, but in this slide, the point you have to remember is now is a time where you as a company have to do lots of branding. Branding as in, yes, you have to brand your product. Parallelly, you have to also brand your open position. You have to shout in the market saying you are hiring people. Yeah. So what will happen? 2 things will happen. Number 1, these industries, when I say these industries, yeah, I know majority of the people who have joined now might be from an IT companies or might be from a IT services company. Let us take an example. Any services company, okay, would have a customer as a travel customer. Any services company or a product company would have a manufacturing industry as a customer. Any company would have an entertainment industry as a customer. So do not look at only the hotel. Do not look at only the travel firms. So when I say the travel, hotel, or entertainment, I'm talking about the domain. I'm talking about the industry. Those industry can be a customer for any IT company also, or a product company also. Think in that way. So these people are your potential prospect candidate. So what you have to do is do the branding is number 1. Number 2, build relationship, build a very positive relationship. So, what will happen? Number 1, if they are really desperate for a job, they will say, okay, hey, I'm looking for a change. Why don't you help me out? It's an easy catch for you because This layoff is not only for the people who are poor performer. This layoff is also for people who are top technical in the industry. So remember that you will get big fish out of the sea. So try doing branding. Okay, so you'll get candidate where you can hire, or you are building a good relationship. The good relationship in future would turn into a prospect candidate. So with this, I'm moving into the next stage. There are companies, still there are companies who need larger volume of people. I know it's very hard to believe, guys, but I've identified 5 companies as per Talent Lift. Shipping and delivery company, you know that there's lots of grocery stores or shipping companies or online learning companies. Now, this is also a part of the learning. Yeah, Zoom is making lots of money out of it. So lots of online learning companies, remote and communication companies, and childcare providers are the top 5 industry which are growing. You won't believe. So now we're running out of recession, isn't it? But Walmart and Amazon are hiring because they are into retail industry. Amazon has a plan to employ 1 lakh people. Just imagine, guys, 1 lakh people. And Walmart is trying to hire 1.5 lakhs people. Yeah. So let us say that if you are a services company, if you are a manpower consulting company, you're running out of customer, target these industries is my tip from this slide. Target these industries and pick up people who can be cross-trained. When I say cross-trained, I'm moving on to the next slide, the slide which I've showed earlier. There are people who getting released from these industries, try to identify their skill, match their skill to this industry or the skill set, because the skill set most majority would remain the same. Push them here. That is a takeaway from this slide. I'm moving on to the next slide. Reduced resume flow is the major problem, including our company, because one major reason is candidates are really jittery or afraid whether should they look for a job change now. This is especially for us senior folks. Senior folks now would not look for a change because they know the situation is very bad. What if they look out, what if they're relieved and the other company, if they join and the project does not work out really well, there is a high chance they might be thrown away immediately. So if you see, the flow of the resume have reduced. 47% of resume flow was reduced in the month of February. The same thing got reduced 53% in the month of March. So hopefully April should increase is the assumption. If not April, by May, because at least in India, by May, it should be after 4th, there is high possibility of this 53% would increase to 60% in India. Guys, can you hear me? Swati, can you hear me? Because I'm getting a signal that my internet is low.
Yes, I can hear you, Rupesh.
Perfect. Thank you. Because I'm getting a signal that my internet is low, so I'm having this doubt. Okay, fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. So there is a chance of 60 to 62% increase in the resume flow by May and June in India. Whereas in US and the other places, especially in Europe, it might take another 3 more months to get the resume flow. So that's the industry survey. So how do you think that you can increase the resume flow? So I said earlier, you have to do branding. This is something which you have to do. So major way which you can do an increase in the resume flow is only way is branding. We'll talk about that in detail, and we'll talk about few of the forums which you can do major branding. Moving on. Reduced in hiring cost. I'm very sure all your company CEOs or the head of HR would have told you to cut the costs of hiring. So how do we convert this as an opportunity? Any guesses, guys? I know there are 42 people there. So is anybody like to take a shot? Because it's a learning for me also, guys.
Hi, this is Samriddhi, and
Hey, Samriddhi. Hi.
I'm currently an MBA in HR student.
Great. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
So how do you think you can reduce the hiring cost?
So I think the hiring cost, as it can be reduced, is uh, we can target those professionals that can be that are acquainted with skills that match our requirements, but those professionals can also be attractive by a low compensation plan. So I think reducing the compensation that we provide to new employees is something that can be done to reduce cost.
Perfect. Samriti, it's a very, very good answer. Wonderful answer. So let me think in this way. I'm the head of HR of a company. Let us assume that way that I'm recruitment head, right? So I have to reduce the cost. So I'm not sure my company would tell me now, okay, let's pick up a fresher. But your idea is really, really welcome. It's a good idea. I will tell you what is happening in the market now. Okay, it's a very, really good idea. But let me tell you what is happening in the market. We call it as prioritizing the position. Number one, let us assume that a company has got 100 positions. So the head of recruitment or the senior most person in the recruitment team have to prioritize the position. Which are the positions which are needed at this point of time? You have to prioritize. The position which are not required immediately, you should not work. Yeah, let us say that there are 100 positions, there are only 5 recruiters. What happens immediately is you will outsource. There is a possibility you might outsource the requirement to the vendors also to get more flow of resume at this point of time, because there is only 43% of resume flow. So what you have to do is prioritize the position, categorize the position into high priority, medium priority, low priority, focus only on high priority, inform your stakeholders that you're going to go slow on the medium priority and slow priority position. Either slow, post-COVID only you'll touch it, or you will fulfill the priority position and only then the medium and the low priority will be focused. And you have to give the priority only to the high priority position, involve your 4 or 5 recruiters to focus on only this position, not on anything else, and generate the resume. That's the only way. Instead of, so it's called load balancing. Also, so instead of they working on 20 position on the same day, they're going to work only on 3 position on a day. That's a simple solution. Plus, as you said, Samriddhi, fresher hiring is a good chance. But now with this incident, campus is not possible. So off campus, I'm just adding it to your point. Off campus through a coding challenge tool can be very much possible. Or you can do a job posting as an intern. You can hire few technical interns for 2 months, look at their performance, then later you can do a proper interview once the COVID is done. That's a simple solution where you can reduce the hiring cost, guys. Okay, Samriti, thank you so much. So I'm moving on to the next slide. Yeah, so guys, this slide talks about the impact. So this survey, I've got it from LinkedIn. LinkedIn had taken a survey with close to 261 talent professional, and it was told that the phone screening schedules have reduced 24%, and there are few companies told 26% increase in the phone screening. The companies which got increase in the phone screening, probably they might be the company who prefer in person, but because of this situation now they've increased the phone screening. I would suggest either of the interview, let's say that this company has a process of 2 rounds of interview, either of the interview they would call the candidate for a Skype or a Zoom call or any other way of video conferencing. So however, if you see 24%, there is a decrease in the phone screening. Application for the open role we already discussed. The new position is also reduced. The offer made, it's something very pathetic, guys. Look at this portion. The offer made is 54% reduced. And there is plus 1% increase in the area. I was actually showing you the second slide where there are 5 industries which still hires, or there are few product companies in India that are still hiring. There it is increased, whereas 54% it is reduced in majority of the companies. You see the interview schedules, 68% interview, there is nothing interview is happening. The recruiters are saying, hey, I'll schedule an interview tomorrow, but the recruiters are not going back. Or recruiters are saying, no, I'm so sorry, I'm not getting a slot from my manager for the interview, hiring manager for interview. That's what happening, guys. This is something insight for you. I'm moving on to the strategy. This is something is today's topic. So moving on to the strategy, the first point I would really say, we have to work as a team. When I say as a team, not only the recruitment team, I would say you have to work along with the talent management team, resource management team. I would say resource management group is called RMG, project management team. Why do you want to work with the talent management team? You understand which talent is in which project, where, what type of training, when is this project getting over, training getting over. RMG will also tell you when is the project kick starting, when who are the people getting released. PMO will tell you billing details and all these things, right? So the recruitment team have to first work with all these three teams, understand, is there any internal resources available which can be deployed immediately for the position which is open. So when I say position, it is the open position. Let's take an example, 100 position. In the 100 position, before immediately you start your hiring process, you have to understand which are all the position you have people internally available. Number one, you identified 100% match people. That's well and good. You can straight away go and match them to the role, and you have this 25 positions getting reduced, which means you have only 75 position you have to work. Number two option, what you have to do is not the closest match. There are still people available in the bench, or there are still people who are in the project likely to get rolled out in a short time. Then pick up those people, train them, and put them in the project. Okay. By this, the remaining 25% position can be fulfilled. The rest is only 50% for you guys. 50%. See where are the people who are highly talented, even though they don't know the role. Talented role, match them to the role which they are competent to do. That way you can reduce another 10%, which is 5 numbers. So for the recruitment team, if you do this, 45 is the only position which you have to work. I've just reduced. Look at this. 55% of the positions are getting reduced when you talk to your talent managers or resource management group or a PMO, guys. With this, I'm moving that's the takeaway from this slide. With this, I'm moving into the next strategy. Once you get to know now there are only 45 positions open for you to work, then what will you do? Use the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Lowe. That's what he do. He will categorize or prioritize the position. I was actually talking about this. I was talking about this when I was talking about the second or third slide. Prioritize your position. How do you prioritize the position? Is this time you have to talk to your hiring manager, not with the PMO or not with the RMG, because you've already done that work. Talk to your hiring manager. When I say hiring manager, is the person who's giving you the requirement. Let's say for a consulting company, manpower consulting company, the hiring manager can be anybody who's working in a corporate. A services company, a hiring manager can be a salesperson of your own company who's interacting with the customer. A product company, a hiring manager can be the person, a product owner who's giving a requirement. Okay, I'm just making this clear. You can also ask me doubt whenever you have. Please feel free to ask me doubt. Yeah. So now, once there are, this position, there are 45 positions open for you. What you have to do is you have to put them in different boxes. Number one box is urgent and very, very, very important. Number two box is not urgent, but is important. Okay. Number 3 and number 4 boxes, you can do it little later, which means a little later, obviously the 4th one, you should not even touch at this point of time. Okay. So which means you reduce 10 number from that 45, which is 35 numbers, which is open. Priority position can be 15 positions for you. Not urgent, but is important, can be 10 positions for you. So which means you left with only 25 position out of 45. So once this 25 is fulfilled, you can look at the 3rd quadrant, which is urgent and not important. So you don't have to really rush up. So what you have to do is you have to give a case study to your head of recruitment. First, you have to convince your head of recruitment, number 1. With the justification, you have to take your HR head approval, concurrence, support. Then you have to call for a meeting with the head of HR, recruitment head, and the respective product owner or a hiring manager who's giving the requirement. Tell them this is your plan. Okay, you will focus only on these priorities. There is quadrant 1, first 10 days. You have to go with clear plan else, and your plan should be a little aggressive. Let's not go with very slow plan. The plan should be very aggressive plan. You have to say the quadrant 1 position, which is 15 position, I would have offers done in 15-20 days time. So 21st day, I would focus on the non-urgent and important position, which means I would generate an offer by 40th day. And from the 40th day, I'll start focusing on the Q3 and Q4, which can be a convincing answer. And the SLA, which you're fixing, SLA is service level agreement for the position to be fulfilled. That should be based on the priority. Basically, a consulting company would have a very stringent SLA. They would say, no, it's all billable position, so you have to onboard the resource in 15 days time. A product company would say an SLA of 90 days is fine. So you have to play the SLA as per your company nature of job. Yeah, moving on. That's a takeaway for you guys. Second strategy. Number 3. This is something very, very important, guys. Branding is one of the major activity. Doesn't matter you're hiring people or not. This should happen. Normally, recruiter ask me, how do I do a branding? Yeah, branding is taken care of a marketing team, and they releases only one email in a week. And my followers, company followers are only 5,000. Let's say that company page is there in LinkedIn, company page is there in Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram or YouTube, but the followers are very less. Okay, so I would say as an answer, branding is not only or should not only be done by the marketing team. Branding should also be done by the recruitment team or by all the hiring managers or all the associate. I would say that rather that way. If all your associates are doing branding, then you will never have a problem in hiring because you'll get lots of references. You'll get lots of indirect branding. I would say indirect branding is, direct branding means a marketing team or a recruitment team doing a branding aspect, either in a newspaper or a TV or a social media site, is called direct branding. Okay. Indirect branding means your branding aspect, your team, the employee of yours is forwarding that activity or is sharing the job role to somebody else. It's called indirect branding. Indirect branding will only get you the right number of candidates because these people are working in your company. They will definitely have friends with the similar skill set. So as a company, what you have to do is you have to, imbibe or you have to educate your employee to do this indirect branding. So let's see the effect of branding. 75% of the people, I would say people is the prospect, research about the company. Yeah, before they apply for a job. It's an interesting data by LinkedIn, guys. Just so, which means there's lots of difficulty if you don't do branding, especially a consulting company, which is a very small company or a startup company, will definitely face lots of issue in hiring at this point of time. So for them, what they have to do is they have to ensure every day some content goes from their official page. Either it can be a LinkedIn or a Facebook or Instagram or a YouTube. It should go away. Plus, they should also have likes from their employees. They have to ensure their employee likes. So which means it will double, triple, 2x, 3x, 4x, 10x, whatever you say. So branding is a very, very important aspect. If that company does not have the capability of doing a branding, they can hire an external agency who can do branding. Samriti, you have any questions? Thanks, sir. Thank you. So they will have to employ an agency, a marketing agency who can do branding for us. As the study says, 75% of the people do an employer brand. They'll check for the employer branding before they apply. This happens in the senior most hiring. Moving on. Employers now, coming to the employer. 83% of the employer says they've hired best talent because of the branding only. Yeah, and very interesting fact. Look at this fact: 69%. 69% of the candidate would not accept the offer. If your company does not have a good branding or your company does not have a bad reputation. If your company has a bad reputation, so always ensure you see regularly the Glassdoor updates. Ensure there is a positive notes going on. Yeah, and if there is an allegation or any kind of a negative comment, please address the command immediately. So now I'll say, this is the right time for a company to do a branding. Okay, a simplest way I'll tell you. See, you guys know lots of social media branding. When I say branding, you'll always think about social media. I've also listed there are companies which you can do, I mean, portals which you can do branding like LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, Twitter, Glassdoor or OLX, even Quicker for instance. Yeah, but I would suggest seriously, choose, if you're a software company, choose a platform which helps you in hiring. I can give you an example. There is a wonderful platform called TechGeek. That's a platform. It's a group of Times Groups platform. Choose that platform. Very good platform. The charges are also very less. They will help you in launching a code event across India. They themselves will do the branding. Times Now job portal is their portal. So they will send bulk emails and all these things for you. They will do branding. They'll give you the flyers. You'll have to just post that. Okay. So this is a wonderful branding. Try this out. This is number one. Okay. You can also try a tool called Hacker Earth. Hacker Earth will also help you in doing a branding. There's a tool called Metal will also help you do branding activity, hiring branding. So two purposes of this. Number one is you get a very wonderful branding is number one. Number two is you getting the candidate also getting hired. A top coding candidate is getting hired to a company. So this is the takeaway from this. So ensure going forward from tomorrow onwards, you do lots of branding. Branding is not only branding about the company. Branding is not only branding your job role. Branding is also sharing a content which is relative, which is useful to other people in the environment. That is also an indirect branding. Try sharing the contents which is useful to others. It will also, it's a good, wonderful branding aspect. I'm moving on. Guys, candidate experience. I would always say wherever I talk, in fact, I've spoken in Best of HR in Trivandrum, where few of the HRs were part of it. I was actually talking about the candidate experience as one of the key item for any companies to hire. Not only a product company, not only a services company, in fact, for a consulting company also. A good experience, a good candidate experience, will definitely bring you lots of prospect to join your company. It's a survey. Again, I have a survey from the Kelly Services. It says 95% of the candidate are more likely to apply again if they have a positive candidate experience. What do I mean by positive candidate experience? I'll actually talk about. Number two, 97% of the candidate who have positive experience would refer people. Yeah. What does you want? Yeah. So let's say that a candidate A is technically strong and he's referring a candidate B. Obviously, he should also be strong. Yeah. So you're getting another candidate, super candidate, very easily. So it's something a wonderful channel. Number three, look at the third point. 88% of the candidate with a positive experience would increase their purchase in the company. I'm talking about company means especially a product company. Let's take an example. You're going to a shop and you're buying a product and you get a good candidate experience. What will you do? You'll say you will refer your friend to go and buy that product there in particular retail shop. That's what I'm talking about, 88%. 55% of candidate with a positive experience would go and write about you in the social media. How about it? You don't have to do the branding. They will do branding for you. Yeah. So on a nutshell, I'll tell you what am I talking about experience of candidate. Number one is when you talk to the candidate, you always should have the job description ready. You should talk about your company and you should be always positive. Be empathetic, always listen to them. Do not push them every time. Yeah. And update them about the regular interview feedback. Let's say that your company follows 4 or 5 rounds of interview. Keep them posted about each rounds of interview. Okay. It doesn't matter whether it is negative or positive. If it is negative, no problem. Convey it in a positive mode. Yeah. Negative or positive, convey this clearly. Do not make them wait. Let's say somebody's interview schedule at 10. Ensure your interviewer reaches the Skype round or in-person round or video conferencing exactly at 10. Do not make the candidate wait for a longer period. ensure your interviewer knows about which role is he hiring. It's all what I'm talking about candidate experience. Candidate should feel, wow, what a company, man. What a recruiter. So that's how it should be. That's what I'm talking about candidate experience. I'm moving on. Automation, I would definitely suggest this point of time is very essential. If your company is already automated, check out for one specific area of automation in which, let's say that you're getting for one particular job posting you've done using your tool, you would have got some 1,000 resumes. So now what happens in majority of the recruitment tool, ATS tool, is the recruiter have to go manually do a screening, which will take at least 3-4 hours. That's the only reason recruiters are not really interested in looking at an automation tool. They're really not interested for an automation of recruitment. They're absolutely fine with the manual, because if it is manual, they don't have to really talk to all the people or screen all the people. If it is automation, the managers will definitely ask for a report. There are 100 responses. You had submitted only 3 resumes. What happened to 97 resumes? Definitely there will be a question. Recruiters will be definitely frustrated because of it. So if you have done already an automation, check out for this one option where the tool will help you in screening the candidate. When I talk about screening, it will tell you the exact match. It will tell you 100% match, 90% match, 95% match, 75% match. So what happens, as soon as the match is seen in the tool, the recruiter will go and pick the 100% match first. Then he'll start talking to the 100% match. If you don't get the resume in 100% match, he'll go to 95%, 90%, 80%, which means his work is reduced. The time which he's going to screen the candidate is reduced. Then once you get the resume, you can actually bulk email all the people saying that, okay, thank you so much. This position is kind of fulfilled as of now. We'll come back to you with a little later. That's why I'm saying this automation is very important. If you see the industry report, Captera has given a report which says that 94% of HR officials says there are using automation software, guys. I'm moving on. Few of the important points I've actually put it in one by one. While you talk to a candidate, let's say that now we spoke about prioritizing the position, we spoke about the branding and all these things. Let us now after all the sourcing and everything is done, now assuming that you got the resume. So what will you do with the resume? Number one, when you talk to the candidate at this point of time, this situation like this, let's say that you're calling somebody in US, you're calling somebody in UK, or you're calling somebody in Mumbai in India, you're calling somebody in Chennai. Don't ask them, hey, Ramesh, can I talk to you? So I have a position, so I'm this company, that company. People will be really irritated, guys, because you don't know what is their situation. They might be in the red zone, or there might be in self-quarantine, or their family members might be affected by corona. So always understand the situation. Ask them first, how are you? Is all fine in your area? Okay, where do you stay? Is all fine. Talk to them personally. I understand few of them seniors would not encourage personal talks, but however, it's always good to start saying, are you fine to talk to me? Is your place safe? Then start talking about the position and ensure you don't take much time. On a normal situation, there is no problem. You talk to them for 1 hour also, but at this point of time, do not spend much time talking unnecessary things. Let us spend to the point. Let us close any call for 30-35 minutes and let the interviewer do the rest of the job for you. Yeah, that's my advice. First one. When you choose a candidate, let's say that you're talking to 100 people, yeah, in 1 week time for one position. I'm talking about the priority 15 position, which I was talking to you earlier. When you talk to the candidate, I would always say, give preference to the candidate who have worked successfully in the virtual environment. Well, it's not harm to check with them, saying, hey, have you used any of the virtual tools? I've mentioned few of the tools below. I see lots of people work from home, not only in a crisis like this, even a similar other ways. They would have used VPN. They know how to use the VPN. They've used various CRM tools. They would have used microsites, or they've used Teams, Slack, or Zoom regularly. Few of them working in the remote location. Somebody would be working in the customer location. So give preference to those type of people at this point of time, because they know how to handle the situation. They know the technology involved in all these virtual business platforms. Yeah, that's my first submission, first takeaway for you in this slide. Number two, when you qualify the candidate, okay, it's not a bad idea, okay, to check, because there was a recession in 2004 and 2008 and 1998 also. If you come across seniors, you know, if they've survived for during this layoff period, I would say pick them first, because they would have been an extraordinary performer. Yeah, they would, if they have not laid out during that period, check out their gaps in the resume. That will help you to identify this. They are top guns. Hire them. Number 3, identify candidate who has a good track record. You know, different. I would say when I say track record, I'm talking about an environment which is not favorable. Okay, it's not it's not that regular environment. Anybody can perform in regular environment. Yeah, only the best people who has the best talent in mind can survive in all the environments. So see whether different environment has he worked on. This can be a good pick for you. So after doing all this screening, after the resume is the right match, if some of the hiring managers rejecting, you have every rights to go and ask them the proper reason for rejecting. Yeah, this is the takeaway from this slide. I'm moving on. I would always suggest a job sample test. I will explain you what is job sample test. But at this point of time, for a COVID situation, not only the COVID, any crisis situation, I would definitely expect a job sample test. Let's say that a majority of you are software people. A software company, I would say a coding test a must. I know that few of you would ask me, what about a test for a manager? Give them a role. That's what I call it as job sample test, not a coding test. See, you have to give a test as per the role. Let's say you're hiring a marketing manager. Give them a scenario where he can answer. Give them a market where, let's say that, how do he penetrate into Australia market? Or how do he do a digital transformation in one of the companies or for one of the companies? Ask them such questions. You know, let them come with scenario. So what happens? So this will help you to understand the role of the candidate better, or the capability of the candidate better. So this is something, one level of screening for you. If you've done this test, you know what happens? You can reduce your interview, multiple rounds of interview. I know that when I suggested this, few people asked me, if I give a virtual test, let's say that people are taking the test from their home, how do I know that they've taken the test genuinely? Somebody would have taken the test, right? So yeah, let's say, let me answer this question. If it is a coding test, there are lots of chances other people would take the test. There is something called as code pairing, which means you can activate the code, you can ask the candidate to come online, you can modify the changes, you can have one technical person with you, you can change the code in front of the candidate, he can sit at home. Yeah. Then later you have to see, you can watch live when he's changing the code. So in that way, you will know whether it's the same candidate doing it. If somebody would have done it on behalf of him, he would not be able to do the changes. So I would suggest a code pairing test, especially for a technical evaluation, is must if you don't believe the candidate. For other roles, marketing or a sales role, if you talk to him, you'll understand. You don't have to do a test again. Yeah. Moving on. Guys, if in case you look for a tool, I would suggest a wonderful tool called Hacker Rank. There is another tool called Hacker Earth, who's also good, but I would suggest Hacker Rank is a wonderful tool which you can try. So this is something very important, guys. It's something pandemic situation is worrying most of the people. So you have to communicate very clearly. Yeah. So you have to communicate the candidate, number one, that you are hiring. And you're very serious about hiring. Your company is also very serious, and your company will not fire people. Is number one. You have to build lots of confidence. You have to give lots of confidence to the candidate. Number two, you have to be very clear about the various interview processes. You have to send the video interview link well in advance, at least 3-4 hours before the interview schedule, not 10 minutes before the schedule. Let them know the interviewer name and the role which he's playing in the company, which will help him to, build a good rapport while he's talking. Let's say that you're giving the interviewer feedback, interviewer details well in advance, along with his LinkedIn, page. What will happen? The candidate will go and search his LinkedIn page or a Facebook page, and he will also get to know about people, about the interviewer. So there might be some similarities. It can be hobbies, it can be interest, or it can be the same company would have worked or same colleges. That will help him to talk to him without fear. There'll be lots of good synergy will work out if you give the interviewer details in advance. Explain them importance of each interview, which means what I'm trying to tell you is explain them why is this interview happening, what will they look in the interview, and the importance of it. And also, do not forget to tell the expectation of the interviewer, because the interviewee should know the expectation only when he would be able to perform well in the interview. He will know what to answer, where to answer, why to answer. Yeah, moving on. One important thing which I would say at this point of time is avoid multiple rounds of interview. I know that this situation, majority of them would say, no, we should have multiple rounds of interview, but it is actually wrong. People are working from home. It doesn't mean they don't have work. I was actually talking to a few of the senior CHROs of different companies. The information what I gather is the feedback from the employees are they work really more comparatively now. When it is a regular office hours, you go to office at 9 and come out at 6. After 6, you say, no, I'm out. I'm with the family. I'm going out. I'm on a movie. I'll call you back. Now you can't say as an employee because you're working at home and everybody know that you can't go out. So what I'm saying is work has increased now for majority of the people. I would not say for all, for majority. So let us avoid multiple rounds of interview. This is not because of this. I would always say, let's have a panel interview, club the panel members. If you have 4 rounds of interview, club the panel members in one interview, do it at one stretch. So that people, that's called the customer delight. That's called the branding. It will definitely indirect brand for your company. Moving on, safety of time, or the benefit of time. I have few tips for the interviewers also. Number 1, be prepared. See, let's say that you're giving the resume of the candidate. Ensure that you let the interviewer know what role is he getting hired and what is his candidate, and you should also know as a person, and you should always have a strategy. Okay, think about the skill set of the candidate, and design a question according to the skill set. There are lots of interview people say that, okay, guys, come on, the interviewer was kind of, the questions he has asked is nothing to do with what am I doing, and he rejected me. So it's very shocking situations like this. Let us avoid the situation. And we spoke about the communicate openly, remove distractions. I know now everybody's working from home. Ensure there's no distraction around. Okay. Employee branding, I would say every interviewer should talk about the company. Every interviewer should talk about the role in which the person is hiring. Every interviewer should also tell what is he going to look at from him. Yeah. And ensure you give proper time to the candidate to respond to the questions, especially situation like this. There are internet issues everywhere. Yeah. Moving on, these are takeaways. Okay, very important. During the offer and post offer, I was actually talking about this earlier. Now most of the people are really afraid of taking an offer. So ensure you establish a connect between the leaders. When I say leaders, not only the HR leaders, I'm talking about the project leaders. I'm talking about the product heads. I'm talking about the functional head. Be it a consulting company, let's say that a manpower consulting company got an offer for one of the customer. There's no harm. The consulting company calls that the company which released an offer, the senior most person to talk to the candidate. What will happen is the candidate will get lots of confidence. Let us assume that a product head or a delivery head is talking to the candidate, a prospect, and saying that, okay, don't worry. Okay, our company is very strong. This is my product. This is my role. I have work for next three years. This is my team structure. Yeah, this is your role. From the day one, you have work. So that will definitely give a good energy to the candidate. It will definitely increase the morale of the candidate to join a company. It is also a very good branding. Yeah. So make it as a regular process for all your candidate before and after the offer. Send regular update. It's not a bad idea. You ask your candidate or a prospect, I'm sorry to say this candidate's prospect, to like your page. Let's say I'm talking about the company page in LinkedIn company page, Twitter company page, YouTube company page, Facebook company page, follow the page. What happens? There will be regular updates. So this person, the candidate or the prospect who's been offered will come to know about the latest thing happening in the company. So he will know that, okay, company is doing good. Company is doing lots of activity. So there is no problem if I join the company. So it's giving a confidence to the candidate. So ensure you do this activity. This is the takeaway from this slide. I'm moving on. Onboarding. So onboarding is very, very important aspect. I would say as a recruitment person for a longer time, I would advise all the recruiters to be in touch with your candidates. Is number one. Number two, at least 10 days before, explain them your onboarding process. 1 week before, introduce them to the onboarding spark. Send them the document 10 days ahead. Collect the document 1 week before and submit it to the onboarding team. Okay. When you take a call after, 1 week before joining, I would suggest the recruitment team along with the onboarding team together have to do a joint call, because at this situation, there might be possibilities of no-shows. If the candidate or a prospect is in dilemma, this joint meeting will help you to convert him. Yeah. So I would like to show you some of the Excel sheet which I've received. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I have two wonderful Excel sheet which talks about the post lockout behavior. A recruitment team have to do, an onboarding team have to do, and including the virtual onboarding, which I thought I'll show. I have to 1 minute with Swati and Biju. I would probably minimize the screen so that people can see the Excel sheet with your permission.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm opening an Excel sheet. So guys, I can actually share you this Excel sheet. You can touch base with Swati or Biju. So just look at this. I would like to thank HR Shapers team, because I got this from Ashish, who's the head of Capgemini. So he had shared this to us. So look at this Excel sheet, wonderfully done Excel sheet. During the lockout, okay, what an employee recruitment team have to do. No walk-in in the office, no interview to be taken in person. All these things is done now. Okay, now we are working from home. So now moving on to second stage. Okay, revisit your new hire, campus joiner plan, all interviews to be moved on online or phone calls and all these things. What is the role of a business head here? The recruitment team support required. CHRO, the recruitment team and all these things. Likewise, there is a wonderful thing which is planned for the onboarding also. What should be the role of a recruitment team? You have to do a regular follow-up. Guys, can you see this PPT? You can see the slide, no? I'm sorry, I'm the Excel sheet.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir,
look at here. Okay, look at here. Before joining, recruitment team. This is the background check team. This is the tag, TA, talent acquisition. You have to do a regular follow-up with the candidate. Yeah, then ensure candidate provide all required document to initiate the background check. Send reminder mail to the candidate. Okay. Onboarding team, ask candidate for all required document. Can have a Skype or Hangout or WhatsApp call. Sharing overall onboarding process before handing over to the business unit. Moving on the day of joining, the role of the recruitment team. Share all new joiners detail with the onboarding team. Sharing only confirm. So I can actually share you this Excel sheet. Very interesting Excel sheet. It has lots of content. Likewise, how the induction should happen. What is the role of an BUHR? What is the role of an L&D, payroll? Everything is there. Yeah, so I can actually share it to all of you. I will. So far, any questions, guys? I know I've taken much of time. I've taken 1 hour. I thought, okay, I'll close it in half an hour. I'm so sorry. I've taken 1 hour exactly. So I'm winding up. 6 o'clock is the time provided to me. Any questions now? I'm free. I'm open to take questions now.
Yes, Rupesh, I have one question. As you talked about the reducing.
Sorry,
cost in
can you be a little louder? I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah.
So as we talked about in the first slide regarding the reducing cost, right? So do you think consulting companies is the best choice for recruitment in this crisis? Do you advise taking a company?
Sorry, HR team. Sorry, what is that, Swati?
Do you think
HR team.
do you think to approach a consulting recruitment agency in this recruitment crisis advisable?
I would suggest it depends on your position. Okay, see, reduction of costing is you can look at it multiple ways. Number one, reduce the vendor usage is the common thing everybody would say. Not only that, number two, I was talking about a coding event, which would cost you 1.5 lakhs to 3 lakh rupees. Reduce that is also one common thing. Number three, let's say your LinkedIn subscription, it's pretty costly, you know, it's more than 6-7 lakhs. If your LinkedIn subscription, it's in the renewal stage, do not renew. Okay. If you're going to take a new software for the recruitment, do not take. All this, I'm just giving 3-4 examples to you. All these are hiking your recruitment cost. Let's say you have only 15 priority position and you have 4 recruiters with you and you have your job portal subscription with you still. Then I would suggest to look out yourself is number one option. There might be specific skill set which the recruiters would not be able to take it because of the bandwidth issue. Then that is the case, identify those skill set, allocate a budget for that. You have to allocate a budget. You should get an approval prior before sending it to the vendor. Allocate a budget and get an approval. Then it makes sense to share those requirement only, a critical requirement only to the recruitment agency. And I'm pretty sure at this stage, recruitment agency will help you in giving resume at a faster pace because their hiring numbers are also come down now. To answer your question, Swati, I hope I answered you.
Thank you.
Next question I have, sir.
Right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Sir, Samriddhi
A
here.
little louder, Samriddhi. Yeah, a little louder, please.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
So we were talking about the job offer that we make during this COVID-19 time, and as you know, if this had been a normal situation, we would have made negotiations. I mean, the recruiter would also have made negotiations on the job offer and as well as candidate. So during this time, do you think that negotiation should be done from any of the parties, since both of them have their own limitations during this time, and negotiating is an important part of the accepting a job offer? So what do you think should be done in such a situation?
See, there are two ways of looking at it. When you talk about your major hiring, the major hiring comes at the junior level. The junior level will always negotiate because they will always look at their friends. I know lots of juniors, when I talk about, they'll say, okay, no, sir, my salary is 4 lakh. I would expect 10 lakh salary. Then I ask them, why do you want 10 lakhs? They'll say, no, my friend is drawing 10 lakh salary. That's a common question you can get. So juniors will still negotiate something. Doesn't matter whether it is a COVID situation or it is any other situation. There is no go. Okay. Negotiation with respect to an employer, it depends on the role. Let's say you are hiring somebody for a critical role where there is decline multiple times. And in this COVID situation, you're hiring such people. Obviously, you have to get into negotiation, but a little liberal negotiation. You should be kind of okay for the candidate also. Yeah. So negotiation depend on the situation. So for a senior, this point of time, all this time I was talking about juniors. Seniors, different ball game. They would not look for a change at this point of time. It's very bad time when a senior look for a change. Either he would have been come out of the company. So what you can do is, a senior, especially more than 12 years of experience, you can negotiate the salary. He would not be in a situation to negotiate a salary with you. If salary is 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs, you can still pick him at 30 lakhs. Or you can still pick him at 25 lakhs or 20 lakhs also. It depends on your negotiation skill. It depends on the situation, I would say. I can take other questions.
Sir, I have a question. It's regarding the healthcare sector. If you have any idea whether they would be taking healthcare workers other than the nurses and doctors, like managers and all. If there is any possibility, can you spread some light on that?
No, healthcare. See, I very honestly, I've not worked on a healthcare industry, Arjun, so far, but I have friends who's working for non-IT technology, especially healthcare companies. So what they were telling me is the healthcare industry is the one company, one industry which will pick up probably after 2 months of time. Okay. Now I know there is a scarcity of nurses and the doctors. Okay. Because let's say that after the COVID, let's say this COVID situation is over, there will be lots of footfall in the hospital. Now, if you see the hospital, this footfall is only majorly this COVID cases, or the people who are kind of showing a symptom of COVID is kind of the footfall you see. But after 2 months, you will also have regular cases coming in, and it will be larger cases because there are people who are ill, who are not going to the office, not going to the hospital because of the COVID fear. So those people will start going to the hospital. So I would say the need of other employees, non-technical staff in the hospital would be more after 2 months. That's an input which I've received from my friends who are working for the hospital industries.
Thank you, sir.
Rupesh, can you hear me?
Hey, Jerry, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah. So you were two questions. One, you were mentioning about hiring people who have already kind of been through 2008 crisis and things like that. And
sorry, hiring people. I'm sorry, I did not hear hiring people.
I mean, who would have faced the 2008 crisis or anything related to a recession. And you also mentioned the fact that, if somebody had been able to weather the storm there, whether they have been able to, stick to their jobs without getting laid off, I know they would probably mean that they are good performers. But in recession situations, don't you think it is not just the performance that matters, but the cost as well? Because a lot number of people who are on a higher cost also get laid off. Maybe they're good performers
absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely. No, your point is very much valid, Jerry. That is what I was actually showing you in the first slide. When you see there are industries is laying off people. Okay, they are laying off people. Doesn't matter. It's not because of the performance. In fact, I was actually talking to one of my friend in Trivandrum. That company is laying off people. Okay, the first preference is always poor performer, but they are removing few seniors also, which they are super performers. Okay, if that is the case. It's a very valid question. I would appreciate this question to you. See, it depends on the industry. So when you hire, let's say that company, you know that, right? When you talk to such people, okay, who have been laid off, you know the company, right? So let's say an example, a CTS or Wipro, or let's take an example of a product company, a Suntech, for example, which company which I worked for, or you say this Bhavan Cybertech, which I'm working at this point of time, or Polaris or Intellect, which I worked earlier. I'm just taking all these examples because I worked in this company. They don't really lay off. Okay, so if he is laid off because of the salary, you know the history, right? You can search in Google and all these things. You know all these things. So depends on the company. There is no harm you hire such people, Jerry. So it is not a problem. What I'm saying is, if you get somebody who's not laid off, is the perfect candidate. It doesn't matter whether it is laid off, because I was talking about laid off 2008 and 2004. Now it is 10 years. His competency would have been increased. So you should consider that option when you have 10 resumes. In the 10 resumes, you get top 3 candidate who was a senior and who's not even laid off or who does not have a job break. So put him as a preference, as first preference, then the second preference of people who got laid off. So
yeah, one more question. Now, this is just an additional question as to what that particular lady was mentioning about negotiations. Maybe because I work in organization development change. And
a little louder, Jerry. I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah, see, maybe because I was just telling, this is an addendum to one question which was being raised regarding negotiations by one of the participants now. So maybe because I come from an organizational development and culture background. So when you say we should capitalize on the situations for negotiations, say probably when somebody who's a senior who is at risk of not getting into a job, we should capitalize too much and probably negotiate further. where does our organization culture, climate, and ethics
That's,
go?
I would say it's a bad culture. It's absolutely, it is not an encouraging culture, to be very honestly. Okay, it's very bad culture because when you hire people who are drawing less than what they're drawing at this point of time, obviously they would start working for a company, but very short duration. You can't satisfy him, right? So, but on the same side, you can also say that, okay, I have only this budget, with a promise that give me 1 year time. If your performance is this much, you fix that KRA very clearly. If you are an excellent performer, we will monitor you every quarter. If you're an excellent performer, end of the year, I can commit you this salary. Let's say 20 lakhs, you're hiring somebody, his salary is 22 lakhs. Okay, for specific to that people, you should have an exception. An HR head should approve for an exceptional approval of exceptional salary, say 20-25% increment in the coming appraisal, probably based on the role and based on the performance. That commitment you have to give. Otherwise, it's something, it's just a body you're hiring, which is only there in the company for 6 months. That's a really a bad.
We should also not forget the fact that will.
Sorry, Jerry, can you closer? Can you come closer to your mouthpiece? I'm not able to hear you.
No, what I was mentioning is that if we kind of espouse that kind of a philosophy, maybe our employer branding will also go for a toss. I was just mentioning that.
Absolutely, yes. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Correct. Right. See, there are companies, even a few of the companies which I can tell you an example. When I was actually 3 years old, one of my friend got a HR job in one of the biggest product and services company. He was drawing a salary of 4 lakhs only. He got an offer of 9 lakhs. So he was actually expecting a salary of 5 lakhs only. But he got 9 lakhs offer because that company standard is that. If they hire somebody with that range, they will give 9 lakhs salary. So, for him, it's something a wonderful, wonderful thing. So he, indirectly was talking to so many people. I know at least he would have told 20, 30 people about this, the thing which company has done. It's an indirect branding for the company. I can take one more question.
Hi, Rupesh.
Hi.
Rupesh, Stanley.
Stanley, how are you?
Good, Rupesh. Good to see you and hear you. Okay, Rupesh, what is your recommendation for consulting firms at this point?
Stanley, I know I would definitely suggest a consulting company at this point of time. Target product companies, number one. Number two, look for social media. You should definitely have one particular person, responsible for your social media search. When I say social media search, not the resume search. We should search for the companies which are all posting jobs. His role is that only. Identify the company which is posting job. Okay. Then make a list of it. Target those companies apart from the product. I'm saying first is product. Number two is companies which are doing a branding activity. Target those companies. Number two. Number three, target the sectors. I was actually showing few of the sectors. In India, there are lots of sectors. That was the common sector. So target those sectors. Not only focus on IT, non-IT is still hiring. Yeah, so focus on other domains and other sectors also is my 3 answers to you.
Thank you.
No more question. Thank you. Swati, is over to you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Rupesh, for taking time for our webinar session, and it was actually wonderful having you here with us. And I thank all the professionals over here. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. Thank you all.